Hi, this is Makolas Bukani, the leader and the founder of the Young Men Empowerment Forum. We are continuing with the same topic that speaks about things that you cannot buy with money in your life, things that money cannot buy for your life. And this is part 3 today of this great topic. Very interesting topic indeed. And I want to emphasize to you as a young man that these are key things and principles of life. These are nuggets of life that if you use and embrace, your life shall never be the same. Your life shall be progressive, and everything that you touch and do shall succeed, because these are actually keys of life that will help you to become a better person in this life. But look at this. These things you cannot buy with money. It doesn't matter how rich you are, but you cannot develop these things by buying it with money, because they're not found in the shop, and these are not things that you can actually bribe your way through. So therefore, you need to go through the process of adopting this in order to become a better person in life. If you want to be successful as a young man, please consider this. Part 3, things that you cannot buy with money. I want to start with common sense. You cannot buy common sense with money. There are people that just lack common sense, people that just lack thinking soberly, people that just lack planning things soberly. Now, when you lack common sense in your life, you're actually messing up your life, because you cannot have direction without using common sense. There are things that are principles of life, that because we know that life goes this way, then therefore it's a common sense that we need to accommodate things of life this way as well. Because I want to speak about this, that there are principles. Principles are like laws. And if you speak about principles that are like laws, if you are not respecting the laws of life or the principles of life, they're going to mess up with you, and your life is not going to be successful. So therefore, you need to use common sense when it comes to following principles, because when you know a principle, you need to follow it. Use your common sense to follow a principle, because if you don't follow principles, they'll mess up with you. Let's give an example. Now, gravity, law of gravity is a principle. Now, a law of gravity, therefore, should actually make us to understand that everything that goes up shall come down. Everything that goes, when you jump, you shall come down as well. So it is therefore a common sense to understand that everything that goes up, it will come down. So therefore, if you are pompous, going up as a young man, and you are actually elevating yourself above everybody and so on, it should be a common sense to you to understand that you'll come down, you'll crumble down one day. And that type of thinking, when you've got the common sense, it helps you actually to become careful, because common sense protects you. Common sense teaches you life. Common sense makes you to understand things, because you will know what will happen as an outright result of some things that you do in life. That's common sense. But there are people that lack common sense, and therefore they actually launch themselves into bigger problems. And they find themselves not even succeeding in everything that they do, because they just simply lack common sense. Now, I want to emphasize that you cannot buy common sense with money. Now, as a young man, use your common sense in many of the things that you do in life. There are those things that you cannot wait for people to come and help you with. You can use your common sense and therefore progress yourself. It is common sense that when you are hungry, you must eat. It's a common sense that when it is hot, you must move away from the heat. Now, this is very important that we understand that. There are things that that you can't wait for people to do for you. There are things that you cannot fold your arms and expect them to happen on their own in your life. So therefore, common sense will move you to progress by making you aware that there are things that you cannot fold your arms and not do and expect them to happen. There are things that you cannot expect other people to do for you while you're supposed to do yourself. So lack of common sense have actually made other people to be lazy, because people can fold their arms and expect things to happen on their own, and that's lack of common sense, and therefore it makes them to become lazy and not do anything in their lives. Now, common sense becomes therefore the driver to make you do things that are supposed to be done. Common sense therefore becomes a driver that progresses and pushes you further in your life, even in areas where you thought you cannot progress. So common sense helps you to actually rationalize things and have reasons for doing things and be able to push things that are supposed to be pushed because of common sense. This is very important. Now, I want to emphasize to you as a young man that use common sense in many areas where common sense is necessary. Because if you don't, you are going to actually lose out in seeing things not progressing in your life purely because you didn't use your common sense. Now, I want to also say another thing that you cannot buy with money is trust. And I want to emphasize that trust becomes therefore the key in life. Trust starts from you trusting other people. Trust starts from you being able to trust those people that are trustworthy. Now, I want to also say this as a young man, maybe as a basis, that many people need to start trusting God. And as a young man, trust starts with you trusting God. Because trust can start with somebody that you don't see, like God, and you trust Him by just knowing that I am alive as an individual. I didn't create myself. There is a creator somewhere. And I'm going to trust Him, though I see Him or not. That becomes the trust that I'll do. Now, trusting, therefore, you need to be able, as a young man, to be able to trust people, to trust those that need to be trusted. Trust God first, but then you can, therefore, then later trust people that have proven to be trustworthy. But I want to emphasize that when we speak about trust today, it is something that speaks to you as an individual, as a young man, that you need to work to become trustworthy yourself. This is very important. So you cannot buy trust by money, but you're going to need to work out trust. And trust is worked out by keeping promises, number one. When you say something, you must actually be able to keep that promise. And that's the only way that people are going to trust you, when you develop it by keeping promises. Now, there are many people in life that are not able to keep promises. And they actually overstep things like of promises that they've said and ignore and just say, I cannot do it. It doesn't matter whether I've promised or not. I'm not going to do it. There are people like that. But when you promise and don't keep the promise, you're actually losing the trust of the people. People cannot trust you anymore when you are not able to keep your promises. Secondly, remember that trust is developed also by consistency. When you're consistent in doing things, people start trusting you because they know that you are trusting the process within. You're consistent with what you're doing. So people trust you. When you say, I will do this thing, they know that you're doing it every day of your life and consistently so. So then people trust what you're saying because of that. Consistency is actually very key to trust. So therefore, as a young man, please be consistent in everything that you do, and you'll realize that you will earn the trust of the people. And I've said again, and I want to say it once more, that you cannot buy trust with money, but you must earn trust of the people by what you do, and your behavior should actually make the people to trust you. You cannot sing trust to people. You cannot impose people to trust you. You cannot actually force people to trust you. But you must actually develop and earn trust by keeping your promises, as I've said, being consistent in what you're doing. Have a good character that people can refer to. And when they look at you, they know that this person, because of this type of a character, this particular person we can trust. So you cannot force people to trust you. Now, as a young man, try to become trustworthy from the beginning. As a young man from your own home, be trustworthy to your parents. Be trustworthy to your own family. And therefore take it up to become trustworthy to your own friends as well and peers. And from that point on, you become trust becomes a lifestyle, or your behavior that makes people to trust you becomes a lifestyle as well, and people start trusting you. So you cannot buy this with money. You must earn it by making sure that people trust you, by keeping the promises, and by doing things that you said you will do, and then people will trust you because of that. I want to end up here today, your host, Mike Spokane. I hope you've learned quite a bit out of this. This was part 3. Of course, we will deal with part 4 tomorrow. But before I go, I want you to remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure that you click that notification button as well, and be part of our videos that we post. And I believe that may the good Lord will bless you and allow me to say cheers for now.